welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is the Porsche 911 Sport Classic. This came in 2022 and celebrates everything classic about 911 in a modern sort of look. They did do a Sport Classic before 2009, you might remember, on 997, and that one had a very distinctive look, but it didn't really enhance the driving capabilities of a regular 997-2. This one is quite different. It's got some quite choice bits on it. First of all, it's turbo, two-wheel drive, and this colour is their sports grey metallic this time, rather than being a flat sports grey. It's also a very limited run car. 1,250 examples of this car are going to be produced against 250 for the 997 Sport Classic, that then went on to be very collectible. And I checked the classifiers, they're about £350,000 if you wanted one today. This car is priced at £214,000 before extras. Got lots of special bits. Let's go and have a closer look. Now, just before we started filming, I thought it'd be quite fun to put my 930 Turbo S next to this 992 Turbo as well, just to see the sort of how they've grown. I feel they're sort of similar cars because they're both from the exclusive limited run. The Turbo S was by Sonderwunsch, this is by the exclusive department at Porsche. And yeah, you just see how the 911 has grown. My car's dated 1989, 2022 for this car. 33 years of 911 in between, and you notice just how much more streamlined the 992 is. The roof line is actually almost lower, I think, and the windscreen is that much more laid back, but it's wider and bigger in all dimensions over the 930. But it's still a great looking car. There's lots of details I like on this Sports Classic. One particularly nerdy feature is it has the early badge, the Porsche badge, and I know it's an early colour because of the colour there. It's almost orange rather than red. I've got a different badge in my pocket. If you look at it, it sort of went redder over the years. They've just redesigned it again this time as well. But you can see that is the early badge that came on the very first 911s. You get the trick headlights on this. You get stripes, I think, are optional. I'll lift this in a moment. This is carbon fibre bonnet on it. And then you come round and you've got the foot design wheels, the classic look of the wheels on this foot wheels with the centre lock on it, and 20-inch at the front, 255, 35, 20 wheels. And if you come here, we have these badges as well, this exclusive manufacturer Porsche. And I looked at the press kit and they say they are actually gold, as in gold plated, which is, I can't believe, on a Porsche, gold plated badges, whatever next. Then double little bump in the roof, just like the original Sport Classic of 2009. The stripes come along. This is carbon fibre. This is ridiculously thin, this, to try and get the weight down. And the graphics on the side with this round door is optional, and some of them have got numbers in. Don't put numbers on them. I quite like this sort of ghosted look. And this car is the wide body. This is the turbo bodied 992. But crucial difference, it hasn't got the scoop here, and I think it's all the better for it. So you've got the big wide arch 21-inch wheels at the back. I forgot to mention you get CCM brakes as standard on your Sports Classic. And CCM brakes are hard to come by in Porsche at the moment. They're very limited, the number of cars that get them. And the ducktail spoiler at the back, just a hark back to the 2.7 RS that caused a controversy when it first came out, but now we all love this ducktail spoiler. I can't show you the engine, obviously, 992, this lifts up, you've got oil and water there, but what I do like is, when I look down there, I can see the intercooler, and it's actually cooling, and I like the way this is fixed, and rather than doing some funny thing when you drive it, and all that sort of rubber exposed, they never look as good as they should, I think, Porsche, once they're underway, but this is fixed, doesn't do anything trick, and I like it for that. Again, gold badging at the back, Sports Classic, and the twin outlet exhaust as well. And you get the Porsche Heritage badge as well, which I think looks particularly naff in my view. And then inside, you get a very nicely trimmed interior. We'll go into detail outside once we can see it in better light. But the houndstooth cloth. I just love that, and the way they have the treatment of the wood across the dash sounds awful but looks really good. And the manual gearbox only with the Sports Classic. I'm going to quickly lift the front. There you are, there's the carbon fibre you can see there. And a great big boot, because with the two-wheel drive means there's no axles to get in the way of this space here. So a very usable limited run Porsche. Let's take it outside, see how it drives. It's very distinctive in here. Sports Classic, what's that say on there? Exclusive Sport Classic. Oh, this is number 39 of 1250. That's interesting, they actually numbered it. I'm impressed by that. It's quite a warm day, so I'm actually going to start it, which was, yeah, always I think is the light switch. But that's throwback to a previous generation of 911. And it comes alive. Oh, there's lots of things to discuss in it. It's worth spending some time on the interior, because it is a star turn of this Sports Classic. Obviously, houndstooth cloth here, but it's just a clever use of wood. This sort of non-varnished wood just feels like real wood. I can, you know, to touch, it's like wood. You know, you feel as though you might get a splinter if you went the wrong corner or something. It's proper wood, and beautifully done with the alloy around here and stitched in, and just a little bit of wood there as well. Who would have thought wood would look good in a 911? But there you go, these times are changing. The normal wheel as we get to know it, and this beautiful look of the dial with the green, which was 356, I seem to remember. It was a bit worrying when I first got in. I thought, oh, is it like the BMW? And because the sort of green starts at 2,500 RPM and then goes red at 7, and I thought, oh, is that part of its warming up sort of signature that'll creep round? No, that's the green zone. That's where you want to be with this engine, is keep it in that zone. The normal thing on here to change Sports Plus, you can hear the exhaust change as I do that. Also on here I have an exhaust there, I have lift, traction control and PDCC controls, so I can control the dampers there, and a manual. And this is the 7-speed manual, and it's just a throwaway. It looks just a nothing sort of gear change. As we get into it, it's just a nice change, really good. And then in the back, yeah, with this tan houndstooth fabric, just looks the part. No sunroof, I don't think that's available. And these really nice mats, sort of Koya mats, floor mats. Why am I getting excited about those? I don't know, but they're just beautifully done. Everywhere you look, nice, good. Right, let's crack on. So, I'm going to head out of here, and then you'll join me on some better roads in a moment. I'm going to select Sport. Just here go slightly gruffer. Yeah, very definitely turbocharged, obviously, which is a nice sort of feel, it's sort of throwback with this Sports Classic. It has that sort of big lung, big turbo sort of feel to it. And another surprise in this car, it's much quieter than other 911s that I've tested with my noise meter. 75, 76 decibels this one. Normally they creep into the 80s, but not so with this Sports Classic. No idea why. It's on, I just checked, Pirelli P0 tyres, and it's got 315 sections tyres at the rear, so, but for whatever reason, it's about the quietest Porsche I've ever tested just on road noise, which is good. The nice touches on this car, I noticed that the handbook, the sort of the wallet for the handbook and everything is done in the same leather as this interior, the tan leather interior. This is quite a nice touch. And yeah, the green signature even on the chrono up there. And here, what have I got? Yeah, I've got I'm not sure if that charges, place for your phone in there. It's, whatever you say about 992 generation 911, it's all very easy to operate. Touchscreen, screen there, or you control it by these buttons. I've got it in sports mode at the moment, so that puts auto blip on the gearbox. Suspension is still in normal, drive mode normal. What I'm going to do actually, just before we get to the delimit sign, I'm going to put it into second. And then you can just hear it rev out. The sound of this engine is pretty cool. Here we go. I do like the way those turbos sort of wake up and go. It suits the character of the car beautifully, and just nice things you pick up as soon as you get in, that it's not bone-shakingly hard ride. This isn't there's no Nürburgring time for the sports classic. It is definitely the needle is drifted over to the GT sector, and I mean that in an Italian way perhaps, rather than GT to belong to Porsche, but it is a car to do distance and to use, which for me is what I like about it. There we are. Yeah, and there I am in 7th. It's just so overgeared. I mean, it's an Autobahn only gear. There we are, absolutely flat out, 50 miles an hour, foot to the floor, 1500 revs, not going anywhere. So yeah, hardly be used in the UK apart from when you do it an economy run up the motorway or something. And the auto blip gets me every time because I'm so used to heel and toeing, but I have to trust the car to do it. Then what's it going to be like down here? Chuck it in. Cut the power down. Yeah, you hit the rev limiter quicker than you want to, just because it's quite aggressive at 7 and it just builds power at that top end. So yeah, it's very easy to hit the limiter because of that. Sometimes I think Porsche ought to copy Ferrari and have a bumpy road button. They're the only ones to do it, and I don't know why more manufacturers don't do it. The state of our roads, I think a bumpy button would be more useful than sport. But down here there is none of the deflections I was getting from the GT3. It's still quite talkative. Still feels direct, super direct actually, but nothing untoward, absolutely locked on, made for speed and stability. So another tick for this car. One thing you have to think about this car over, say, the GTS and normal Carreras is because it's based on the turbo, it has the bigger engine, the 3.7 litre. I know they describe it as 3.8, 3.745 I think it is, rather than the 3 litre of the Carrera, and that should give it extra torque, but they really wound down the torque. It's 150 newton meters less than the turbo, and let alone the Turbo S. Let's just try around here. I mean, traction, you can really nail them once you're out the corner coming through it. Just use that weight transfer. Yeah, plenty of speed. 4.1 to 60 is the declared speed of this car. Yeah, just going back to that horsepower, so 550 horsepower, so that's 30 horsepower down on a turbo, but it's the torque, 150 newton meter drop in torque, and they say it's purely because of the gearbox, and it's trying to, the 7-speed trying to handle too much torque. The turbo just engine in standard form delivers too much torque. You do not notice that. It still feels a very quick car, not stupid-fieringly ridiculously scary quick as perhaps Turbo S can be at times. So the level of performance is excellent in my view. And this car is so free of rattles or squeaks. It feels absolutely solid. It feels structurally bang on, just beautifully built, which for the price is not a surprise. But it's just something about the way Porsche build their cars. I want to go through some of the likes and dislikes, and I'll start with the dislikes. Well, I suppose number one, this is the most expensive Porsche in the range at the moment. £214,000. That is a lot of cash. And 1250, is it that limited? when you compare it to the Sports Classic, the first one at 250, yeah, there's 5 times more of these, but the price does feel at the top end, but then there's very little extra you can spec on. I think this one is 217,000. It's got an upgraded stereo system on it, but yeah, that feels chunky. Design of the wheels annoy me. I know they're meant to look like Fuchs wheels, but they don't do it for me. They look like Beetle wheels. VW Beetle wheels had a very similar design. I just don't think they quite suit the car, and they make the wheels look even bigger than they are. Like, let's try around here. I think I'll take second round here. And here, a little bit of gravel just to make life exciting on the edge. And there we go. I am not thinking the performance is lacking in this car. Moving over to the likes, well, there's quite a list, as you'd probably imagine. One, the looks. You look at it outside and think, yeah, that looks good. That ducktail spoiler, the use of the colours, I like the round door, I like the stripes of the bonnet, the double bonnet, the bubble on the roof, all good. And the likes, love this interior. They've absolutely nailed the choice of materials, the way they've used the wood, the houndstooth upholstery, just terrific. And then there's the chassis, how they've set that up. The way this sort of breeze of the road, it's the 2-wheel drive chassis. I am not missing the 4-wheel drive. They've had 75 years, haven't they, to get rear engine to work. And it really works in this car, even though the wick has been turned down, I'd give it that. But there's still plenty of performance there. And it's just a nice, really nice car to punt down a road like this. I've got all the information I want. I've got the solid brakes, the CCM brakes, loads of power, just wonderful, absolutely wonderful way it punches out of there. Number of things to like with this car, but is it my favourite 911 of all, or the 992 of all? Oh, it's tough because I feel wrong criticising such a brilliant car, but I do remember the 992 GT3 Touring more fondly. That engine is peachy with the manual gearbox. That offered something that was unique in the 911, and the only slight issue I have with this car is I had that red Porsche 992 GTS in manual, and that was almost more of a surprise because I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. And that car offers 80, 90, well perhaps 90% of what this offers at nearly 100,000 less than this does. If you can afford it, this is the better car. But if you missed your Sport Classic and you're thinking about paying a huge premium for one, I would just go out and try a GTS manual before committing, because that car nails a lot of things that this car also has, and I think it potentially sounds better than this car. So there you go, Sports Classic, new Sports Classic, absolutely brilliant, and I've enjoyed my time with it. But there's another bargain in the Porsche range that I think is also well worth a look. I think the looks, obviously, is what makes this car extra special, and I should give that an extra point for that. There you go, there's my review of the 992 Sport Classic. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, well, keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming on very soon.